Hi guys, we welcome you once more to Interactive Solution. Today we are talking on taking on the bull by the horn, and we're talking about something that has been on the front burner nationally and internationally. Almost every nation in the world is becoming agitated by migration and immigrants, migrants, and that has informed our topic today. So we want to really delve into this. Monstrous issue, some things that almost every nation of the world has come to be shown so much concern about, from the Americas, from in Europe, in Africa. Every nation is becoming so sensitive about the issue of immigration, and that is why we want to look at some of the things that have been given as excuses or as reason for the concerns. In America, people have been physically removed and taken to other nations. Even the government in the US has been interfacing with other countries to see how they can take some unwanted fellows or some felons from the state of from the country of America to those states. These are some of the things that are happening in Europe. Many countries in Europe have shown concern about the issue of immigration and the issue of migrants. In Africa, you go to some nations, some migrants have always almost been physically removed. This is the thing that is happening. It is something that is happening almost around all the nations of the globe, and that is why we want to take on this issue and look at some of the reasons that have been put across as to why this thing is occurring at this moment in time in our history. So the concerns have been one of security, crime, and social order or disorder, as the case may be. So we want to take on these issues and see the extent to which you could really say that these things, that what is happening or the things that are happening on ground validate the reasons that have been given for such a concern over the issue of immigration and migrants. So with me, as always, are the guys who are knowledgeable in so many of these things, and they always have their say on these issues. And I believe that today they are not going to shy away from this very issue, not minding the fact that some of them are resident outside the countries, outside their home countries. So we are going to look at this issue dispassionately and objectively, with a mind to advising those who are coming and also those who are already resident on how to go about their businesses within the country where they are resident, so that they don't rub it off on the wrong side of the law or the wrong side of their neighbors or whoever, the authorities of the day, so that you could come into the space where you're staying and live comfortably, do your business comfortably, and then possibly, go back to your home country if that is part of your plan, or if the country where you're staying permits, find a place where you can live out the rest of your life in peace. As it is today, now we can comfortably say that most of the migrants in some of these nations are not no longer at ease. They are no longer at ease. Just like Chinua Achebe said, no longer at ease. Many people are no longer at ease in the countries where they have gone to, find solace, where they have gone to seek for greener pasture. So, but today we're going to look at some of the reasons that have been given for these concerns that have been expressed by some home countries in the UK, in the Americas, in Africa. There are some of these concerns, and we want to take on some of them, the mind to examining the validity of some of the reasons that have been given why these concerns have all of a sudden taken the front page. As usual, Mr. Samuel Nnadi is one of is always there to offer his own £1 opinion on things that happen and things that are happening around him. Onyemeri Chiedozie is also in the corridor and want to bring them in to, brainstorm and possibly give opinions and solutions as to how to go about this issue. So, grants, security concerns, crimes, social and social order and disorder. These are some of the things we're going to look at. Mr. Nadi, you're welcome.
The tea.
Mr. Nadi, it's always good to have you on such a day like this, on a Sunday like this, when we take on such
Oh,
tropical issues and we try to see how we not just bring understanding, but help people to grapple with the issues that confront them on a day-to-day basis. So that is why the issue of migration, immigration, and migrants is taking the front burner today on our show. So, and I want us to, without much ado, diving into this to see how we can bring a level of understanding and also bring advice, you know, to people who are currently standing on this Tinder box, so that you don't fall over or tip over into what actually you're not very, very sure of. If we discuss this, as you're moving around, you'll be able to, with all assuredness, know that you're on the right side of the law. So,
mhm.
without much ado, I think we'll get kicking. Except you have anything to tell us while I bring in Chidozie.
Wow, yeah. We bring it here. This is so we have the full tripod, didn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, Onyemere, I am waiting for you. I have already sent an invite to you, but I don't know how you can you can come in without a lot of friction, a lot of sometimes these glitches tend to hold us from having the complete tripod in place when we are starting this. So, but I want to believe that you'll be able to use the link that I've sent to you and come in effortlessly so that we can get on cracking with this. This is something that many of us would want to hear what we have to say. It is just not for us alone, but even for those who are aspiring to, go to other countries to find a greener pasture. It will help in a long way, in a very, very good way to bring understanding and help people to actually know what are expected of them, even when you come into the country where you want to reside. So, Mr. Nadi, while we wait for, okay, Onyemere is here now.
Yeah. Oh,
That
man,
is
the
good.
salad.
Onyemere is good to, Onyemere is good to have you on, and then we want to, as quickly as possible, get cracking with this so that we don't, waste too much of time. And I guess I'll be cutting in as time permits so that we can entertain as many questions as we can. So, Onyemere, I don't know, but I think I have this question I wanted to ask Mr. Nadi first, so I still will have to go ahead and ask it. Mr.
Okay.
Nadi, I want to ask you this before I get to Onyemere. What are the security concerns or security issues that have triggered the current concern about immigration? Because security seems to be on the major one of the major reasons that have been adduced as to why immigration or migrants should be cut down, or why there should be strict policy or rules guiding immigration into certain nations. So, what are the security issues or security concerns you think have triggered the current concern about immigration?
Well, the key. Well, thank you. Thanks for the topic. This is one of them
Okay.
days that I miss Mike.
Yeah, Mike would have
Yeah,
been
because Mike
yeah,
would have pulled a lot of weight in this conversation, in this particular conversation, because this is one of the conversations, one of the debates we that he ushered us to become friends.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. But let me create. You know, I always like to create a background to a topic before, so that we can build the argument in a better and a brighter, picture. I'll start by myself, and this is the good thing about this our podcast. Why we always here,
Yeah,
we find a way to use our own stories to bring up a narrative that may resonate with with our audience, maybe not. But
yeah,
the point is, when I moved into this country as an immigrant, my hope was very high. In fact, I'll tell you slightly part of that story. The day I went to take my visa from the embassy, my emotional state that moment was more like somebody that is going to heaven.
yes,
I felt like my problems and all my troubles are over. That I'm moving to a place where there won't be no more problems. There won't be no more difficulties. I won't have to have the challenges of everything that is challenging to my life will just disappear. And this is one of these illusion or myth that that builds our background, that builds our understanding of even trying to move to a different country. It sounds to us like it's a big news and a very fantastic news. And when I moved into this country, that has been over a decade ago,
yeah,
the rhetorics have always been the same. The immigrant. It seems like all the problems, including security problems, including all of that, everything problems. It always has his way. It finds his way. I don't know how. Maybe magically, he finds his way to the immigrants. And for me, as an immigrant, when I moved in, I was it becomes a mission for me to see how I can move from being an immigrant to becoming a citizen. That maybe if I graduate to become a citizen, I will all these problems that because I didn't sorry I missed some of part of the stories because when I moved to the UK, I came into this country. It was on 27th of December, and I was faced with a harsh cold and actually faced with the reality. Now the
yeah,
reality is not now the paradise, the dream I had about here as being a paradise was just a dream that is not actually reality because I was
yeah,
faced to the reality of life, that to see that in this country is just the total opposite of what you assume. If you ever have an imagination of a good life and an excellent life, it's just the opposite of it because those good life and the best life that you're thinking about is, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, it does, but my imagination towards those things was totally in contrast because when I moved into the country, I found out that whatever good life I was perceiving about myself or about my future, that it is only left for myself to build them or to create them. Otherwise, I will even be worse off than where I was in Nigeria. So, to cut the long story short, that daydream becomes reality, that I found myself that I have to wake up every morning, do certain jobs that I wouldn't have done on 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 an open-minded if I was back home in Nigeria. I started to work in a construction site where even kids that on a normal days should be greeting and praise and giving me the morning salutes were the one instructing me to go and clean and do all of that. At a certain point, this becomes normal. It becomes normal life to me. Then I think I have another. I stressed my parameter again that maybe when I become a citizen, I will step
Things
away
will
from
change.
this. Yeah, I'll step away from this immigrant rhetorics and all of that. I could become a citizen. It still didn't change. I still even become more immigrant because when I become a citizen, I it occurs to me that this is actually the time for me to start standing for my country of origin. Because within the process of me, you know, progressing to become a citizen, I found out that regardless of whatever paperwork you're being given, it does not automatically change who the monkey is. Sorry, let me not use that word anyways. But coming to your question, Mr. T, you know, is it boils down to what we discuss in one. I think it's one of our podcasts that we discussed about conformity bias, how this works, how it creates a big narrative. It creates a big narrative, big one-sided narrative that conforms to whatever people thinks. That your thinking is what is the solution. You don't even look at it from what about the other people? What are they thinking? How do we find a balance between what we think and what we are not thinking? And that is why all these rhetorics about that the immigrants are security threats. You go to Americans today. The immigrants are being referred as the aliens, which may not be the best ways to describe your friends or your people who are your associates. But it becomes a reality that whatever issues that is facing the society have been conformed within this bias, I mean, container, that everything that is going wrong in the society, in the British society, have found its way to meet the immigrants. If it's a crime, one and a single immigrant commits a single crime somewhere, which millions of British people commit every day. And I think why these things becomes this narrative is to create that what do I call it? Dependency, making your mental dependency, make people feel somehow unwelcomed. If you are going to look at it from that angle as well, they make you feel very unwelcome, so that wherever you are doing in the country, you will know that this is not your home. That if you're if you've lived there for 100 years, if you've lived there for 20 years, as long as you are not identified with the majority, I mean, demography of the society, you are always a threat. It's either you are a security threat, or as a Muslim, or you are whatever threat that they want to, national threat and all of that. So if that answers your question, Mr. T, thank you for
Thank you
that.
very much.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that drove this matter right to the heart of it. Thank you very much. Onion Mary, you've heard the concern about immigration as it relates to crime, security, and social order or disorder. So
Yeah,
my question now is that are these concerns? Do you think that these concerns are supported by empirical evidence?
The concerns about immigration.
Yeah, the concerns about immigration and with a relationship to as they relate to crimes, as they relate to security, as they relate to social order or disorder in the society, that immigrants or migration is a major cause of the upsurge in in some of these concerns. The concerns of security, the concerns of crime rates going up, the concerns of disorder in the society. Do you think they are supported by empirical evidence?
Well, I don't think so. I think all of them are sort of quasi empirical evidence because just like what we're talking about before, I think we have mentioned quite a lot of all these things before, and then it's also nice that it's coming back and forth. Remember what I said before that when we create a faulty foundation, it's always going to be coming back to hunt us and hunt the generations, whether now or in the future. So it's always nice for us to work hard as a cohesive and collective group to make sure that we create something that will benefit us, not that we work, not something that will work against us. So when we talk about immigration, I think normally we tend to forget about the concept of that immigration and how that concept is applied to everybody. I don't think that immigration will always threaten or be a cause for security alarm or threaten social order or contribute to crime rate or or I mean it's more of a social and political construct, especially immigration. Immigration is more of social construct because if we see how people move around, everybody has got the legal right to move around. But then, do we understand what actually that immigration means? It is that immigration is just a sort of movement that is perceived from the receiving country, like you're moving into England, and England begins to socially construct something and saying that you are coming in as an immigrant, but naturally it wasn't in existence before. It was just something that was created when this passport system began a couple of decades ago, especially in the early 20th century. But when we look back and forth, we see that migration is allowed. Migration is everybody migrates. But the unfortunate thing is that when we migrate, it becomes a sort of tag and a sort of misconceived perception or concept that is removed from a particular context and then used in another context to begin to create something that can be securitized politically, but then the social construct that people are putting in there to threaten others, they threaten even the people that are migrating, is still worth considering. Look at when you move across the border, that's what we mean by migrate. We migrate. Everybody migrates, and movement across the border can be internal movement. It can also be an international movement. So when you move international, when you move from Enugu to Lagos or from inside Ghana of Accra to Kumasi, that's also migration. So one of the things I normally find perplexing is the way people try to configure things against others, and then those people that those things are configured against, they never resist or speak out. And I see now what I always tell our brother here that use that word, don't use that word. Words have power. We're not blacks. I keep saying this thing, and I've made a lot of presentation in BBC interviews because of this. We are Africans, and look at the interesting thing. When you migrate internationally, then the receiving country or receiving state, I mean, they call it different names, sovereignty or nation state, then begin to see you as an immigrant. But then you are moving into a country not as an immigrant because it wasn't there before, not as an immigrant, but maybe as a teacher, because for you now you've done masters in Nigeria, and all of us have done master's degree, and now we're coming into a country. We have that legal right to come into a country to work. I'm not coming into a country as an immigrant. No, it was something that was socially created to create borders so that it begins to create fear on people, and then it begins to distort and create disunity among them. But if you perceive those definitions, it begins to work on you. And look at that. Then we still have immigration. Immigration is something. These are created social concepts. Immigration is also something that when that movement is still migration from one across border, but then it is migration from the sending country, not from the receiving country. Immigration and immigration, they are different, but the central concept, the central word is migration movement. So when we move, why, if you go and read out there, if you make research, the security threat we normally have about that thing they call immigration, because it's just something we create between us and they. They keep creating us and they, and then but then it's the one that they call immigrants, that they're developing the country, and then they're not committing lots of crime, but because of that media manipulation, media knows how to manipulate things, and then people normally end cases against cases about the ones they call immigrants are disproportionately represented in the media. And then, just like our brother mentioned about confirmation bias, we can also look at political manipulation, because the politicians, they normally feed on fear mongering. They love it, and they love things. They begin to sympathize with you. I normally tell them, I don't want to live a life of sympathy. You can't sympathize. I don't need sympathy, because if I'm qualified to do a job, but unfortunately, as he was saying, and what he was saying was actually reality. You see that in many places, that even individuals who have not been to school are the ones that are having your place of work. And I find this thing disturbing, and I find it very complex and unacceptable. But we're not getting into that perception or that context today. But I'm saying it is a legal right of everybody in this world, because we don't live in a homogeneous society. We live in a heterogeneous society, whereby when we mention diversity and when we mention inclusivity, even leave inclusivity there, when we mention diversity, it cannot have weight when we are constantly creating anything about us and they and them and all of those rubbish. So when we're looking at this, who are really the threat? Who are really the threat against the security, or who are really the security threat, or who are really the threat against the social order? This social order is about the norms they've created, and then this rule of law, institutional legitimacy, and then those expectations that the institutions that allow society to function predictably, that this society, oh, we want this society to function predictably. And when you see those people taking drugs and buying drugs, nobody, even the media, will not see them. The media only sees the ones selling the drugs. And then who are the ones that are supplying the drugs? We don't want to get in there. I'm not supporting drugs. And if you sell anything in drugs, get any amount of money. Don't give me. I don't need such money, because I know I have children. I don't want to do anything with drugs. But still, who are the ones that are taking the drugs? And are you exonerating who and implicating who? And then we talk about, when we see those same people, look at that. Look at the interesting part now. When we see them in our society, why don't we call them immigrants? Then we call them tourists. And why do we call them tourists? Because we have not been able to have a collective center, a united force. And then when we call them tourists, they come to our country as tourists. But we come to their country as immigrants. I mean, this is bizarre, honestly. So when they come to our country as tourists, they come to our country and do whatever they want and then go. And then we keep shouting, white man, white man, white man. Our brother, do you begin to see where I'm saying that I've never seen in my life anybody who is white man or black man. But the only thing is that people are created based on complexion. Somebody can be a little bit darker and fair, but to say white, then you have to call our own fair people white, because we still have these same fair people in our own area. So if you look at the crimes, if you look at all these surveillance centers and all those border security threats, have we ever thought about protection against external threat, which is the worst security on earth, worst security issue on earth? Then we have national security, we have human security, and we have societal security. The societal security focuses more on protection of collective identity and cultural continuity. Okay, what about our own culture that has been disorganized, that has been disoriented, and that has been put in a state of quagmire, that people are constantly traveling and everything is being disconnected and disunited, and even recreating, enforcing, and supporting disunity among us. And then we still have that human security, because security is not just about protection against a threat or all different types of threat. But then look at that in these three perspectives. Then we have human security. When we protect human from deprivation, from persecution, from violence, Are we not the same human? Why is our own security problem more escalating than the others? Then we have the national security, which is the worst security threat on earth. We talk about political sovereignty. We talk about national sovereignty. I mean, national integrity. We talk about national sovereignty. Don't we have a national sovereignty? Then protection from external aggression and external threat. That's the worst security, and that's the worst security most countries are suffering. So if we are still suffering from aggression from France or aggression from the UK or threat from the UK, why don't we normalize those ones? Why do we allow ourselves and why do we give the media the power to be disproportionately representing us in that way and calling about immigrants? So
yeah,
what I'm saying here is that we have to look at it holistically.
yeah,
Security is not just about pitching it on immigrants. Everybody
immigrants.
on earth is immigrant, and migration
Okay.
is a legal right for everybody. When you move, it's not fair to be terming people who are teachers, who are nurses, who are medical doctors, who are lawyers, who are qualified engineers, calling them immigrants. That's an aberration of a term to be used against people. Thank you.
Thank you, Oyema. You stayed long on that, and then you drove this the nail through the heart of it. Mr. Nadi, my question is the correlation between immigration and crime. Now, are you there, Mr. Nadi?
Yeah, I am here. I'm here.
Yeah, I was asking you what you felt was triggered this concern. Do you really think there is a correlation between immigration and crime?
Well, um, I don't really think so. There is um, crime is crime. Crime does not have identity. What is who is a criminal is the person that committed the crime. There is, I think, it's all got to do with this implicit bias, where people unconsciously are racist without even knowing. They are, and that is the challenges that I've always had with most of my white English friends. Because when you want to mention to somebody that you're racist, and they want to only look at it from the big bomb, from that big world. When you say, "Oh, you're racist," no, they are not. But all the crime that are committed by black people without
No,
also.
sorry, brother. I disagree with black people.
Sorry,
I
sorry,
disagree.
sorry, 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 sorry. Apologies. You know, this is something that we've been
You've been used
we've
to
been
it for some
designed
while
with that
now.
we've been designed
Yeah,
We,
with that common language.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
We,
so
Yeah, we'll get used to it.
so
We'll get used to it. It's not going to
so
be automatic. We'll get
yeah,
used
yeah.
to it
So I think
as we
that
go on.
I think that that concept that crime and all of that is allocated to immigrants is, in my view, is a structural bias. People build a certain structure in order. What I don't know the right word they use for it. They said, is it kettle calling cat black or kettle? I can't remember how it's being used.
Kettle calling
calling
pot
port.
black.
Yeah,
Calling kettle black. Yeah.
yeah, and it boils down to what our brother Emily have just mentioned. These are actually, and I challenge this with a lot of people. These are people who traveled from their own country before this event of today. We were living in our villages with our maybe with our local, um, distorted food, as they can say it. We were living comfortable. We didn't invite nobody, and we were not even. We were not. We were not. We were not. We are not. We are not. What's the right word? We were not. We didn't immigrate them. They infused themselves on us. They came in and invaded the society, and not just invade for economical goods. They invaded both to invade our cultural identity, and and it speaks a lot about the structural bias than the reality of what we're seeing today. These same people that invaded other people and forced their culture and their tradition on them are finding it odd when people are coming without arms. Nobody, I've not seen an immigrant coming from the airport with AK-47. They came to our own shores with AK-47 and took away everything, leaving us with absolutely nothing. And it comes back to why we are pushing this narrative for us, the Africans, to find a way to mitigate this situation that we have in our society. Sometimes when we come up here on this podcast to have this conversation, people prefer to be watching dance moves and all of that. It's not that we can't. But the truth is that for us, that is deeply affected, for this deeply concerned. And some people may, and that is the reason why I started my conversation with my point, what I mentioned. Some people may say it does not affect me. I'm now a citizen. I am a citizen myself. Immigration does not affect me. But it has a correlation, it has a link to you at a certain point. I went to a pub the other day to have a drink. A man approached me and said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Nigeria. Automatically, what he's seeing is people coming from the boats. The first question is coming to me. He was trying to be a bit nice, or having this explicit bias that I mentioned, trying to paint what is wrong, to paint it right, to make it look very good, as if he's asking me a professional question. Just like our brother Onyemeli have just mentioned, Tesco, somebody that is serving in Tesco, will travel to Nigeria and become an expert. But a medical doctor in Nigeria coming to the UK is coming as an immigrant, regardless of how many years he's been here, regardless of how many education he's got. And this boils down to what we've been discussing. And let me give you a simple analogy. And this is where the key point is. This is where the root cause of all of this is. And this is why we are yelling and willing on how we can find a way to solve our own problem, to be able to identify how does this problem and resolve it. You know, when I was living in India, I saw the way we have been treated in India. It's not just in the UK, it's not just in America. We have been treated because there is anybody that condemns themselves, anybody that feels bad about themselves. You're not going to somebody else from other clan. It's not the one that's going to give good testimonies. If you cannot good testimonies about yourself. So it starts from your inner self. What testimony are you giving about yourself? So I was having a conversation because when I was in India, I saw the way the African community were treated in India. When I moved back home, I found the contrast, the opposite of how the Indians are being treated in in um, in Nigeria, and that was a bit odd to me. I said, why? The Indians are treated as kings in Nigeria, but we, the Nigerians, are not treated the same in India. But I didn't actually look down into the real cause of this problem, because there is a problem. And this is the point about this critical thinking, this mentality of problem solving, not just looking at the problem from the interface, looking at it, what is actually the point? Why are we being treated that way? And that why is where what most of this conversation we've been having all this while about certain values. And I was having that conversation with somebody, and I wanted to ram this into a better analogy so that it makes sense even better. But what I want to explain is this: that interception between a data point and a big data, that is where it plays a significant part for us to understand it. Because when you are looking at yourself and not understanding how certain values that you place within yourself, how that affect the entire data, it will be difficult for you to understand this concept. How the outlook of your society becomes your interface wherever you go. Regardless if you're a medical doctor, if you're whatever professional you are. So you find out that data point has a significant input in what becomes of those big data that you're seeing, this Nigeria you're seeing. For you to be significant in Britain, for you to be significant in India, Nigeria needs to be significant. Otherwise, you're playing to the wrong goalposts. You're playing to the wrong goalposts. And regardless of how much you want to score the fantastic goals, like 20 goals, like my brother Omar Salah, that was the best striker of Umezi back in the days.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much goals you score in that post, you are still not going to take the trophy. You will still be treated. You should be confronted with this structural bias. You should be confronted with all this sentiment. I challenge one of my English friends as well. I say to him, listen, these guys that you see that comes to this country are elites from where they come from. We are elites. Some of us have good business. Some of us are professionals in what we're doing. We come into the country to be cleaners, and we're still not getting we're getting the junks of comments.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we are not looking at the big picture. We're not looking at where is this problem. And if we don't solve that problem, we keep getting, soon it will be Congo. Yesterday it was the Ghanaians that are chasing us out as if we are now aliens. Everywhere we go to America, we are aliens. We go, and it's not particularly to us. And it goes from one hierarchy to the other. So,
The other, yeah.
Thank you. Let me leave it there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Nadi. Yeah, that was really very, very incisive, and I want to agree with that. And that will inform my question to you, Onyemere, because what we are talking about now is power. You know, power, not just political power, but even economic power. Because it appears that he who pays the piper is dictating the tone that is played. As it is now, the balance of power is tilted in favor of the West, and they determine languages, they determine currencies, they determine the things that go in and the things that come out. So that is why, as somebody who is coming from a weak position, you are termed immigrant, or you become a concern wherever you enter. But on the other side, as you are moving from probably the West, if they are moving onto the other side of the divide, it becomes a kind of you are coming on the basis of expertise. You're bringing knowledge that is alien or that is not known in that territory you're going. You're going there as a tourist and all those. Do you think this thing has to do with economic power and possibly political coloration too? That is why, because you are coming from a weaker position economically and politically, yeah, some of these things can be, a label that is used to label you.
Well, anyway, depending on what we define as economic and political power, because as far as I know, UK is not richer than Nigeria, but like we said before, it's just about.
It is better we understand this. In terms of mineral and natural resources, yes, but when you come to in terms of advancement in technology, in terms of advancement in almost even the things that you see around you, I mean, that is why most of us are here.
Real indices.
Yeah, the real indices of life, the real indicators of good living. That is why most of us are here. So it is we need to tell ourselves the obvious truth. We are not talking about riches in terms of maybe human resources or in terms of natural endowment, but in terms of make the things that make life worth living. That is where I'm coming from. And when you see that we are still moving in droves from our countries of origin into these places. That tells you that there is something they have that we do not have.
Yeah, and the question is?
My question is it a question of the balance of power tilted in their favor, where we are coming from a weakened economic and political position, and because they determine the currencies of the day, currencies in terms of economics, in terms of language, in terms of the whatever, they determine what goes in and what comes out. So they determine the language.
Anyway, anyway, saying that I might think differently from somebody saying that they determine the language, they determine this, they determine that. I do understand what you mean. If we can agree that they're more a little bit they're more advanced in terms of development, that and also in democracy, they're more advanced than us. I will agree, but they're not determining this thing. They are constituting economic national threat to us because they're interfering in what we're doing, whereas we're not interfering in what they're doing. I'll give you a clue now. So these things we say, and this is normally how we pass this information to our children, which is not even empowering them. We need to be empowering our children too, because we see now what is actually happening. Somebody from India was the prime minister. All of us were there when he was the prime minister. Did you ever see him insult India? If we are talking about that this one determine this one determine that. So I want us to be getting this thing understood. Have we ever seen Rishi Sunak get in or get on TV and started insulting Indians? No, he's never done it. But because of that mentality, you cannot develop without upgrading your mindset. Development is about mindset. You might have, let me tell you something. I normally appreciate them because I'm sorry. We have all this. I was writing something. I was writing something. Something like last week. Somebody will call himself PhD holder. I feel like sometimes you feel like spitting on that person with the PhD holder. And if you look at the thinking, because the thinking is so low and too inferior to be carrying that certificate. So even when they come, let's acknowledge something. Even when they come to our country to tell us that we have oil, do we know that we have all these certificates? We have all these things. We are educated based on their own terms. Look at brother. Nobody has the power. I want to tell you something. Nobody has economic power forever. There's always going to be a movement of power. There was a time, Greek people. I'll give you something, because this is something I took time to study, and there was a time everybody thought that Greek is the all and all until something happened. There was a time everybody thought that Germany was the all and all until something happened. Even until 1948, America was not the most powerful country. What am I trying to say? For any economic advancement or development is created in the mindset and patriotism. And are you willing to be accountable? Are you willing to build a sustainable house that will benefit the coming generations? It's not about whatever they are deciding. That thing we are always saying, we're saying it in a very wrong way to our children. If my child is watching me now, he's going to be saying that they don't determine even language. I'm telling you, brother, that today, as we are talking now, they have translation, official translation in China, all over England, in many of their institutions. It was not forced. It was some people who went back to build something and say, we want to challenge this. There's always going to be a time we challenge things. But it's only Africans. I'm sorry. Let me generalize here. It's only us that never challenges. Let me tell you something. What kind of business do we do? If I'm saying this thing, when you talk about economic power, what makes economic power? How many businesses do we control? I'm being critical and factual here. How many businesses do we control in all over the UK? If not African shop, it's going to be selling oil, bringing a egusi from Nigeria, and then bringing fresh ugu. You cook coconut soup. Yes, these things are good. But then, how many businesses are Indians controlling in England? You're there. You tell yourself the truth. How many businesses are the Pakistanis controlling in England? Were they not colonized the same way we were colonized? I'm asking this question. So when we say economic power, yes, somebody might be economically more powerful today, but they don't determine what is going to happen tomorrow. That's where the China came in and say, what do we have to do? Guys, come in and invest. But if we have this clique, one of us will always go from behind and sell all of us. So when we have this betrayal mindset without upgraded patriotic mindset, how do you think? Because this consensus we're talking about is socially and politically constructed as against what is called empirical data. So how can you have, if we talk about observation based on this systematic observation and experimentation, not based on theory, I've always told our brother, and then we keep repeating all this thing, confirmation bias, the empirical data is already biased. I don't believe in all those empirical data. I see them, I read them, I take the good things I want to take, but I don't believe in all of them because they are already biased. So when something's already biased, how can you get any truthful information from that? And I will suggest that if any of us will have opportunity anytime that they want to do, if you have done qualitative analysis, try to do quantitative analysis. I've done both. And I've also, one of the things that will open your eyes is when you begin to triangulate between the same methods. If you begin to triangulate between the same methods, you will begin to see all these things I'm analyzing and trying to depict and trying to portray every time, that nobody has this thing. Because of the weak. We've already built a weak system that everybody wants. When you have something, you want everybody to worship you. Brother, when you have that kind of, when you create that kind of currency, for everybody to worship you, then everybody will worship you. When you die, everything dies. If you go to India today, brother, when you talk about medicine, even many people are traveling from Nigeria. I'm being honest. Even many people are traveling from Nigeria to India to get medication on some certain diseases and conditions. Brother, how many Indians are traveling to Nigeria to get medication? Leave that answer there. Now, we have a keke company. Now we're talking about determining. We have a keke company. We have a keke company in Lagos. A lot of, maybe 2 or 3, 4 keke companies in Lagos. How many of such companies do we have in India? Now, if you go back to coming in with boat that they normally manipulate in the media, that we come in through the boat, brother, did they not come into our countries with boat? Did they come with flight? I'm asking both of you. Have you seen them when they came to colonize us come with aeroplane? They came with boat, but they were called good names. The name you build for yourself, just like brother.
We did not call them those names. They called themselves those names, and we continued calling them those names.
Yes, brother. Because we are weak, not because of
until we get to the point where we can challenge them. As it is now, we are weak. That's what I'm saying. It is a position where we are weak, that we cannot challenge certain things.
And look, I want to say something now.
China and India can effectively challenge because they've left the point where they were weak to the point where they are strong now. So they can conveniently challenge whatever anybody is putting on the table. China can conveniently challenge America. China can conveniently challenge any country in the world today. But before now, China was not nowhere to compare with these nations. So if you are weak politically, if you are weak economically, you don't set the agenda. You don't set the tone.
When you're saying we're not, let me tell you something, because I mentioned before, I said national security. We're threatened nationally in terms of security by the Western world. And Burkina Faso is strategizing and showing us what to do, even though he's a soldier. Look at what I'm telling you. Politically, for you to build your political system, the political system is built by the people, and normally by the people and for the people and by the people. All those a hackneyed concept. But the weakness I'm talking about is not just about being weak, but about continuously reinforcing and creating weakness upon weakness for the coming generations. Have you ever seen an Indian president during the elections traveling to London to answer questions? And when somebody calls you name, you can begin to see why they're calling you name. And every time we have election, we allow them to interfere because we're not able to. We normally seek validation. This is the point I'm talking now. We normally seek validation from them. Everything they do, we see it as the super perfect. And we have also talked about seeking validation. Even today, stop a girl, for example, stop somebody that is born in England, somebody that is born and raised in England, just to say hi. The person is already running away. Stop an Indian. And they didn't say anyway, stop an Indian and say hi. The Indian will stop and greet you. So it is what we have built that is haunting against us. But today, because this, as I said, these concerns are socially and also politically constructed, because there's nothing like immigrant. Nobody's immigrant. Everybody's immigrant, because once you move from a country to another country, you become an immigrant as perceived by another country. And every country has got this sovereignty that they have the legal right to defend. But when our own sovereignty is weak, even France, do you see that when we talk about economic weakness, France was buying gold from Burkina Faso, 80 pence as against 200 euros for the past 200 years. Why would Burkina Faso not be economically weak? But somebody came on board and said, no, these things are wrong. So we still have to. Indians did not become strong just overnight. People, I keep saying this thing. We still have to. Our awareness is very good. This thing we're doing is very good, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm also saying that we need to come out. We need to come out because this is our country. We don't know how long we're going to live on earth to die, and if we die without doing anything, we are guilty because we have contributed nothing. But our awareness that we're raising is also something we're doing to contribute to the prosperity of Nigeria. Is the system we're building that is making us look weak, and when we go to take the education, normally when they put out scholarship there, we rush to take those scholarships, which is very good. But then, do you see from your experience in England, Nigeria putting out scholarship for English people to study in Nigeria, for them to take it and study? They will not. Not that their education, no, it's because they have those things we say that they advanced. They're more advanced than us. But advancement comes with mentality and mindset. So today, if we keep looking at this systematic social and political construct, we will never come out from there because it's a trick. It's a system that is systematically built around trying to intimidate people who are stronger and who are richer and who are wealthier, making them look as if they're nobody. Look at the way people are jumping on cleaning. Cleaning is very good. Look at the way people are jumping on care job. About 80% of our ladies are doing care job. They slap them, they kick them, they hit them. Still, when they get the money, they're satisfied. So nobody's thinking about how do we develop? Should I leave the next person coming to come and take this insult, to come and take this slap? Because we never build that center. Tell me a Nigerian society that is as strong as an Indian society in anywhere in America. It's only if it is not masquerade, it's going to be food, eating food and masquerade. Those things are good. I love them. But what do we have to give our coming generations? So that is the question that is coming against us. So awareness is good, but coming to build something that will last is also good. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Thank you. Mr. Nadi, you've heard so much about what we talked about economic and political factors in some of these things, the strength in these areas. Now, the ramping up of migrants threat in most of these countries is what we are talking about now. Are you thinking that this threat, the ramping up is more of a political factor, or like we asked, is this socially and politically motivated or constructed, or are they things that the ordinary man on the street is so concerned about that is taking so much space in the press these days? Mr. Nadi.
Okay, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm asking. Did you get my question?
I got your question.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna.
Is it more of a political concern, or more of the concern of the man on the street?
Yeah. I did a play status the other day. I was watching a read on Facebook where all this I will use the comic contents where one of these British guys were asked what were you going out there to protest about? He said, "Oh, they are coming here to take all our jobs, and they are not even working." So somebody that is coming to take your job, because that's literally today we hear about Nigel Farage and all of his rhetorics. This is not something that we started with today. It's been there all this while. It's been there for ages, and even in the next 20 years, if we come back to the UK, as long as most of us in our different diverse society did not do the needful, we'll always come back to these rhetorics
because it's recycled. It's recycled.
Yeah. Where we are always the victims of what, like I said before, a structural bias, where politicians looks at the problem from what's going to make the content rather than what's going to solve the problem. So, and this is what we've been a victim of. And for us not to be that victim is part of what my brother Mary have just said. If you don't want to be a victim, you don't come to somebody else's country and tell them what to think and how to structure their mentality. The best thing for you to do is go back and build your own mentality the way you want it. So, and that is where the root cause is. That's where we have to deal with. You know, I was doing a stretch research about a lot of things when this concept of immigration was invoking in everywhere around. You know, and it's quite it links a bit to what my brother Onyemiri said, and the question you asked Onyemiri about how those things actually interjects with the economic factors. I think it has a lot to do with economic factors. In the UK, the African community is about, I think it's about 4% of the population of the country. And when you look at the SMEs, the small, medium, large businesses that is in the UK.
Enterprises, yeah?
Yes, yes. You check how many of the Africans are actually coming here. And it's part of what I wanted to discuss when I was having the other conversation. I think it's important, Mr. T, if you give me just a small time for me to bring all these arguments.
Just go ahead.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, bring these two arguments together.
yeah.
The guy that I was having this debate about the Indians and the conversation I had earlier on, we started the conversation with why the Oka people, what they are known from back in the days. They are known for bridesmanship, the people that crafts metal and all of that. And for today, the Oka men are known as Dundum Biam Biam, one of Oka. There is no more bridesmaids in Oka. If you go to Oka now, you hardly see somebody who is a bridesmaid. And let me tell you, the Indians don't know what is one of Oka. What they know is tangible products, metal, and we don't. When you don't come with this value to that society, you don't expect them to value you in return. It works hand in hand. You come with tangible goods. They respect you for that goods because they may not get it somewhere else. And this is what we've been ramping on this podcast every day, every time we come here. Now we have to face reality. In the UK, we don't have up to 1% of SME in the country. Most of us are coming here to look for cleaning and all of that. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, but it's what is our overall target? Are we intending to pass this cleaning to our generations, to our unborn children, to be the cleaners? So sometimes I was doing a managerial job one time. I was supervising the English guy. Regardless of how much knowledge I got on that job, he would not obey my instructions. He has to sabotage everything I'm doing just to make sure that why would an African man be supervising me? And that brings up to that big argument of the big data, how it works. Isolated. Yeah.
And he may not even be as educated as you.
That's it. But that's I'm coming there. I will bring all of this argument together. Because when these people don't value these things, there are things that they are valuing, and I will tell you that. Because when you see a man that is not in the beer parlor, he's somewhere else. He may be in his house. He doesn't just disappear. There are where these values are going. There are where people are valuing. And I'll give you another statistics in the UK. That is when people see me, you see me as it makes me feel like this fictitious and all of these religious concepts have destroyed our society. That is where my argument comes from. I bring that argument straight forward as well. Come to the same UK, that we are 4%. According to data that is provided, I can give you the information if you want to search it later. We contribute 48% of churchgoers in the UK. 48%, people who are 4%. When there is business seminar, you hardly see an African man. When there is social gathering or important thing that build economic activity, African man rather go to a church service. They have a big crusade. The other day, they said this Jerry Eze came, everywhere were crowded, or Peace Square is coming. You see crowd. This is what we value. And those things it does not interpret to economic values. Those things does not interpret to economic tangibles where the Americans need it. They don't need all of these things. So at the end of the day, you can't have what do I call it? What's the right word? painted gold and expect a reward. If if um, if we really want to be valued in the countries where we're coming from, we need to come in with the values. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that most of us are come in here with our education and all of that. They are not bad. We have seen the situation, and most times it's not just about what you've seen, but what you have done. Because the situations that we've seen ourselves as immigrants, if we are critical, we will be able to challenge those situations, which is part of what we're doing here, and what part of what I have actually advised a lot of people who come in the country. Like, the other day I mentioned when I moved to Nigeria, and people are coming for drinks. Even some of the guys that come even before me, when I sit them down, I say to them, listen, don't look at those jobs. Don't focus on those ones that give you quick money so that you go straight home to be spraying it on weddings and on occasions to show off, to have that big cars with escort. This does not cluster to big society that are respected tomorrow. What clusters to big society that respects tomorrow is when you go to NHS tomorrow, you find out, or when you go to businesses, SME in the country, you find out that majority of the off-license shops that you have in the UK are Bangladesh and Indians. They hold the economic activities in the society, and you find out, or even the Israelis, you find out that you cannot get rid of this guy. I was even watching, it's very critical, it's very satiric as well, that the guy that is second to Nigel Farage is an Indian as well. He's ramping to take everybody else. His second in command is an Indian, because you cannot do it. Sorry.
It gets people to nuts, man. It gets people to nuts when people are not even thinking about the reality. I mean, go on.
Yeah. So you find out that you cannot, at this point, you cannot get rid of these people because they have the value that the community wants. So what we are preaching, that is part of what we are preaching, that we should focus our priority right. We should get this priority right. Some people will come, like I said before, I mentioned to a lot of people, come in here. I've learned the hard way, and I wouldn't want somebody else coming in to do the same, to have the same problem. I was laboring, I was doing laboring for years, where somebody I met when I came here initially, when we went into a small apprenticeship to do electrical installation, but because of this pressure from society and everybody making it look like as you've just traveled to overseas, you're gonna be showering back the money and bringing it back. I was pressured to do this, and that's why I've advised people, when you come into the country, look for long time goal. Don't just look at it from, I need that money quick. At the end of the day, you will come back and be the same. Your children will still suffer the same consequences. But when we focus more on long-term goal, you come in here, don't just I'm to make money today. I'm not saying money is not good, but look for a process. The guy that I met when I was doing
Nadi, my question is
sorry.
this thing politically engineered, or are the threats coming from the man on the street?
I think I've answered that question. I think I'm adding a bit more. But I said,
Okay.
it is politically motivated, and
Politically and socially.
Yes, and how I'm all these references I'm making is that
to portray your point.
Yes, it portray my point,
and
to support, and to tell you that when the politicians are making those comments, those confirmative comments, which is not actually the reality, we that are the recipients of those criticisms, find our way to confirm it. I don't know if you're getting my point. So instead of us to, like, somebody say to you, you're black, and you accept that you're black, you become black.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's the point I was gonna make.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, Mary, I want to ask you this. I think we should be rounding off now. So I just need you to go straight to the point, please, so that we can entertain one more question as a piece before we round off. Now, the UK went to Ukraine and brought in so many persons into UK. They were in Afghanistan and they brought in so many people into the UK. They were in the Middle East, in Palestine, and the same. And these people they are part of the migrants and the immigration thing that we are talking about. Do you not think that this thing is also, do I say, government generated, that helps them to continue to use immigration as a talking point to make them relevant during elections?
Yeah, because I already mentioned that politicians feed on all those fear mongering. They create fear mongering in countries because they benefit from that to a large extent. And that's why these concerns are socially and politically motivated to a large extent. These things are what they create, and they normally use it as a political rhetoric when they begin to pitch for the next office. But smart people tend to like look down and analyze critically and then say, divide the pros and cons and know where they are going. But unfortunately, the society, because of the homogeneity preaching, it makes things difficult sometimes. And then they normally tell you during the campaign process, oh, that these same immigrants are threatening our society because they have refused to adapt. And what are you adapting? I haven't seen any immigrant brought from Ukraine, or where I've seen specialized eye doctors, specialized gynecologists, specialized engineers brought from Ukraine. And then now, why are you coming back again to what I was telling you about national security? Even the national security of Ukraine is threatened because they have their own sovereignty. You're supplying weapons to them, and then you're letting them to kill themselves, and then you don't want to kill yourself because you value that human security. But then, when you disorganize a society because you want to build an army base in Ukraine, and at the end of the day, when they move here, you still start calling them immigrants, and that they're constituting nuisance in your country because of what you've caused. And I know that this social construct is so powerful, it's so materially powerful, because for you to see where they're going, it's always difficult because they are lying to media, and you know how powerful the mainstream media are, and they can do anything. They can do anything to destabilize or to represent something, to falsify something, to represent something in a way that will evoke this confirmation of consensus bias all the time. So it is something they're making, and those things are not going to help them. Because in the end, people like you see, all of us are seeing what the Palestinians are doing now. That the Palestinians are rising up. I was in the school when the Palestinians were sleeping outside. A country that's not even up to half of one state in Nigeria. They were sleeping outside. Everybody was supporting them. But at the end of the day, they achieved what they were going to achieve because they were united. But coming back from the other side, you always see this unity. So the government knows how to do these things to benefit them, but also to disorganize the other society, using it as a political rhetoric and a social construct, using also institutions like the media to propagate their scams. You understand? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am very, Mr. Nadi. This is just the last one for you before you give up. Do you think that the benefits that migrants bring into the economy far outweigh whatever the negatives that are associated to them? Do you think the same is true, that the migrants are more beneficial to the society than the threats they are? Hello, Mr. Nadi.
Well, I think maybe the network is having a network issue.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. He's back.
Okay, he's back now. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Nadi, did you get the question?
No, I didn't get it. Sorry. Go back again.
Do you think that the benefits, whatever what migrants bring to the table, far outweigh what they take from the table?
100%. 100%. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier on when I was making my point that most of the migrants, I mean the one that comes in here legally, they are somehow elites in society where they come from. I'll take an instance of let me just give a bit of analysis to support the argument. I'll just give a typical one. Three of us that are sitting here. Mr. T, I know you see your experience in Nigeria, what you have achieved from being a junior staff in national service, is public service,
Yeah.
yeah, to become, to even get to a certain level of your career. And Oman Besala that is on the other side. Oman Besala, if TAS was meant to be even, we will be having a superhero that everybody knows when he was growing up in Enugungbo. If you know football and you don't know Amamba Salah, that means you don't know football. I mean, in terms of the client where we come from, and then
Yeah.
myself, I may be the lowest among the you lots. I mean,
Definitely.
I have a running good business in Nigeria that I've gotten to the state of getting people employed. But we have to, aside all of these things to become cleaners from the onset. You find out that it's a case of what do I call it? Buying complete goods. That is what the immigrants. That's what the immigrants are doing, and even to support this fact, I why are they even allowing this? This immigrant doesn't even come by themselves. They couldn't come by themselves. The open border that we hear today, we hear it tomorrow, and they will still open the border tomorrow. Nobody ramped himself into the country. They went through a process. Most of us, we went to the process, and that is part of the argument. I was listening to Sky News the other day, and somebody was challenging the far right um, commentator, saying we are ramping about the undocumented and the illegal immigrants. What about the legal immigrants? If you really don't want immigrants, if the immigrants are this big backstory, why are you allowing them all the time? Why is it always the open border? We had a situation a few years ago, where people are visa students, people coming as students are coming with multiple dependents, and they are allowed to come in. Is coming to face the harsh reality that they are aliens in the society where they come in, where they thought they were welcomed, and then you're extending their stay. You're bridging the gap. You're bridging their agreement halfway. Some of them have traveled all the way with the hope that after 5 years they will get their their their
Indefinite.
indefinite reality, but now it's been moved because you have this economic and superpower, and whatever you define as being right automatically becomes right. So, in my personal view, if we can, the three of us are still immigrants, and no, there is not even a single one of us that would have not contributed immensely to our society if we are left to be back home. I think the person that is actually the big loser in all of these things are the home country of the immigrants, because they are actually the losing. It's like when people train a soldier, train a footballer that is well certified now to become the superstar, and then all of a sudden they swing to to the other tie, or to the other to the other aisle. Sorry. So if facts will be fully put into studies, the losers, the proper losers, are the home country. The places where these people are immigrating to are the proper winners. They win graduate. They win people who are fully who are employable, who are certified to become the workforce. So I want to go straight and answer that question straight away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mary, what
Yeah.
words do you have for migrants in view of this anxiety and tension that the current situation seem to be, generating?
Oh, well, I just want to say, I just want to give a thumbs up to all migrants out there, and want to say that to all national citizens out there, because everybody has a country where they come from. But I'm giving them thumbs up and saying much courage to what they're doing, and then they should continue doing what they're doing, and they should continue living life with confidence and then contributing to developing of the society where they live, and then stay away from crime. And I do know that um, all the studies, all the peer review studies with evidence can certify that these people tagged as immigrant commit less crime than the citizens of the main country, calling others immigrant. The issue of immigrant, the threat, the greatest threat of to security, I mean, the greatest threat to security or to crime prevention or to social order, it's not about immigration, emigration, or migration. It is just about the way politicians are socially and politically constructing immigration as a threat to security, as a threat to social order, and as a threat to crime prevention. So the earlier they understand that what they're doing is just an anomaly, and then they're doing it in a wrong way to pitch innocent citizens as crime committers or as people who are bent on distorting or disturbing the social order. The earlier they understand that their construction is dead on arrival. I would say that democracies that lacks policy based on evidence will always base their policies on propaganda and nothing else. And when propaganda is in the fall, everything about the social construct becomes a crisis. They should desist from constructing some things using institutions that will be putting more crisis to the crisis on the ground already. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yamel. Mr. Nadi, what is your last? We know your last is always your first.
Yes, the tea, the tea.
Yeah.
Well, my last in all of these things, I will go a bit off sketch from what our brother Emery have just, although what he said, it was quite intriguing as well. I will go, but I will go the other way around so that we don't say the same thing. For us, the immigrants, the truths, I have to be blunt in saying these truths. If we don't fix our community, in the next 200 years, we will still be aliens. We will still be a threat to national security. Don't forget that it's not just the Black Africans or the Indians or the other, but the Japanese are immigrants here in the UK as well. But if the body language that is being given to a Japanese man or a South Korean man or even a Chinese man will be different from the kind of conversation that we'll be discussing. When people talk about immigrants today, they're not, if you see a Japanese man, it doesn't affect them. It doesn't, I mean, sentimentally affect them. But if our society is well in order, we become expatriates wherever we go. As long as our society remains a slump, we take that slump to wherever we go, regardless of if we are the big man in the office, like I've just mentioned to you, regardless of how much you are placed in that position where you are. There is always going to be that conformative bias against you, because where you're coming from is a typical representative of, you are an ambassador of where you're coming from. So as long as we don't take this matter serious and move the trajectory to the right values and prioritize or scale the right measures, we will always become threats. We always, even when we are doing the best of, we're giving the best. Even when a master degree holder becomes a cleaner, he will still be a threat. The only way we will stop being that threat is when we make ourselves threatless. If I use the wrong jargon, if I use that satiric jargon, the more for us the what do you call it? The what it trust ourselves is to distrust our society where we come from. If our society strive, we strive everywhere we are. If we go to anywhere around the world, we become ambassadors, expatriates. That is the way people become expatriates, not by being a PhD holder or being a barakigwe in your community. It's when the entire society is moving forward, that is the only time. Thank you, Mr. T. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Mary, your last.
Well, I've already been succinct about my last, but I can always say that our society, I do agree with some of what our brother mentioned and clearly said, and which is also something about giving ourselves values, but also our society is not slum, because if our society is slum, everybody living in our society is also part of that slum. and which means that even the Westerners, even our societies, are also part of the slum. But we're not
Yes.
getting there.
Well,
But we're
I
not
will
getting there.
interject, but when you finish, sorry. Anyways, thank you. Okay.
No, because what I'm saying here, like I said, the concern itself, this concern we're talking about against security, against crime rate, because the crime rate, if we've reasoned with the crime rate and see that peer-reviewed peer-reviewed studies critically analyzed and emphasized and then put it right that it is the citizens of the country calling others immigrants that are committing most of the crimes, and not even the ones they're calling immigrants. So as far as they are beating or hitting or tapping on this particular concept called immigration, using institutions to denigrate or bring others down, it is going to become a propaganda tool that we continue to bring crisis upon crisis in them. And then these concerns, as I said earlier, is politically and socially constructed in a way that becomes a threat to the host society. And then the more we desist from seeing each other as immigrants, instead of seeing them with a well-qualified perspective of who they are, the society will continue to experience what they call national and cultural disunity. So I am encouraging all those that are called immigrants, I'm encouraging them to be confident, to be happy about themselves, and also try to contribute positively in the society where they are and stay away from crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Someone
Well,
has
yeah, just to interject a bit. When I stop, shut up. Oh, sorry. Don't. Just give me a second, please.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, when I said I can defend that we are actually from a slum society, because what in contemporary definition of slum, a slum society is where there's no electricity, no good road, no social amenities, where the good hospitals and all of that are not in a basic standard. And that is what we have in society, in our society, and we have to own to that concept. It's not an allegation. We're not
No,
alleging that we don't have them in a
but
society.
not all the whole society is Islam.
That
Some part of the
you see, you see,
even in the UK,
you see.
if you apply
Yeah.
this same category to UK and America, there are many slums also in America and the UK. Do you agree with that?
Well, let's put it into context. Let's put it into context. That is the part that it gets tangled,
Yeah,
because
but not
that,
not everywhere in the society has got bad this and bad. There are many places in Nigeria that are also good, that has 24/7 electricity. I'm telling you that. But because that some few people are just having issues,
okay.
doesn't mean that the whole place is a slum. So what I'm
Okay.
saying is that some particular place you can categorize that, but the slum, using slum to categorize them, I wouldn't agree that my country is a slum. No, I'll never agree.
I totally agree with you at the direction you're going. That these are optimistic comment. You are being optimistic that our society is not slum, but in reality, that's not the case. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. You don't generalize a situation unless you have a tangible sway or disparity or some kind of what do I call it? When you have
Yeah, but
a cynical, what do you call it?
in this case, you are generalizing by
No,
calling the
I'm
society
coming.
slum. You're
I'm coming.
generalizing. Yeah.
I'm coming. Just
gentlemen,
allow me.
I
Allow
think
me a second.
yeah.
Allow me a second. Allow me a second to
Okay.
explain this. Well,
Okay.
before we leave.
Yeah.
Before we leave. So when the society becomes a slum, entire society becomes a slum, is when majority of that society have got that same character and that same pattern. It's not when you have how people have electricity in their home, so that means Nigeria have electricity. Would that be a supported argument? No. How many?
But
What is the percentage? What is the percentage of those who have electricity
yeah,
to
but
those
that's what I'm
who?
telling you. That's what I'm telling you. If you apply the same concept to UK and the
Yes.
US, you will also
There
categorize
is no there is no single
no
there is no single
wait. It's not
there is no
it's not just
single
like
there is
I'm
one minute
coming.
one minute
I'm
one minute
coming.
one minute
I'm
there
coming.
is no.
But
I want to compare it. I
do
want
you
to
know
compare
that
it now.
do you know that in the concept you're talking about that
Yeah.
Nigeria has also been voted as the happiest country in the world? Did you know that? Sometime.
Oh,
And it depends. Wait. It
that's the
depends. It
difference.
depends.
That
People in
is
slum. People in slum are not happy. Nigeria is bigger than slum. I'm telling you this. Nigeria is bigger than slum. It's just that things. No. No,
Okay,
things that just
Gentlemen,
way
let me let
gentlemen, can we just agree that we have done a wonderful job today? And I want to give you guys hearts because you've been able to break down this topic for our viewers, and I believe that those of them who watched us doing this are quite impressed with what we put out there. Albert
Mm.
Peter said, "Well done, guys. This
Thank you
is
so much.
very important. This is a very important and sensitive topic, and I think you guys portrayed a fair justice to the topic in all angles of the subject. I cannot say much more than that. I can only but say thank you, guys, because from what you guys put out there, it goes to show that many of us have a full understanding of what the issue is all about. The issue of the concerns that are raised, which most times are not based on any known realities, any known empirical evidence. It's just the tool of the politicians who like to pander to propaganda and things that give them vibes and things that make them seem to be sensitive to the things that concern the society at large. But we know that by and large, they are the hand that pulls the trigger. And at the same time, they will come out to complain that some things are happening that shouldn't happen. But
Mhm.
we are in a situation where we cannot, at the same time, you know, say things should be this way or shouldn't be that way. Government is in a position to they feel that they have the bigger picture, and then they try to give that picture that seem very very uh, palatable to them and to those who lap from their plates. So, but having said that, it is important for all of us, those of us who see ourselves as migrants, to be mindful of the need to take some things home. And when you take those things home, if you don't want to continue to be tagged with that label of migrant or immigrant and all those, there is need for us to think home. And when thinking home means that whatever information, whatever knowledge you have gotten from here, you should take back home and try to build your society. When you build up your society from a weak position to that of strength, you now be negotiating from the position of strength. There were days when China, India were looked down on, but today they are world powers and they can sit on the table with the big boys and decide what happens, what goes in and what comes out. So nothing stops our countries from stepping up and doing the same and try to walk the same path that these great nations have walked and are still walking. For all the immigrants out there, from all of us here, we have said, stay away from crime. It does not pay. If you are caught, much in contrast to a citizen here, you're facing two offenses. You either be jailed, and at the end of your jail term, you'll be sent back to your country of origin. So stay away from crime. It does not pay. Crime does not pay. For all immigrants, continue the grafting, continue grinding, because that is why you're here, to find the means with which you pay your bills and feed your family, and possibly take back some things home to those who are across the Atlantic. That is why we are here. So, having said that, importantly, we need to fix our communities. We need to fix our countries, and if we did that, all of us will be better off for it. And from all of us here, I want just to say thank you for having given you left everything here on the floor. That is what we always do. And like we said, we do not do just content. We are talking to issues that bother us, the issues that concern us. And the idea is to bring understanding, to help us to come to a point where we take reasonable decisions that will help us to navigate the issues of life. From me and the rest of this crew that have always they shoot from the waist. Thank you, guys. And to our audience, I want to assure you that we'll be coming your way again next week with something that we talk to some things that are always challenging, things that some people are afraid to talk about, or they walk by it. We want to dive into it and straight to the point and give our opinions about what we think about issues. Thank you guys for having done justice to this. According to Abuchi Peters, you've done justice to this topic. Until we meet again next week, it's all the way, all love from all of us here, from Mr. Nadi and Onyemeri. We want to say thank you for having kept the time with us and having contributed to making this session a very, very engaging and wonderful one. Thank you, guys. See you next Sunday.
Thank you, brother. Take
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, bye.
Cheers.